At 23, I was responsible for taking her life. Never did I think when I was in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade that at 23 I'd be responsible for taking the life of somebody. It was a Friday night, 2009, July 17th. We decided to go to the bar. I was 23 now, so I was allowed to go to the bar legally. Even though I wasn't supposed to be there, because 3 months prior to this, I had just got a DUI. So I had no license and I was on probation. My buddies, we were all going to the bar, and they said, "Nathan, are you driving?" And I said, "Oh, no, absolutely not. I don't have a license. I'm on probation. I'm not even supposed to be doing it." So what we would do every weekend is after we would go to the bars, somebody would leave early because the bars closed at 3. Somebody would leave early and go sort of bonfire at one of our buddies' houses. So I had drank and consumed a half a fifth of whiskey and 13 shots of tequila. I was drunk. A girl named Priscilla Owens, who had just moved from Alabama. She had 3 weeks previous moved up to Indiana to Marion. She was from there when she was a kid. She was a little older than all of us. Priscilla shows up, and she was going to be my designated driver. She was the one that was supposed to take me to start the fire. She comes to get me. My friend Mike says, "Nathan, you're not driving, right?" I said, "Oh no, man, I'm drunk. I'm not driving, she is. She's my designated driver. We got this. We're going out to TJ's. We're starting the fire. I'll see you in a little bit." Cool, we shook up and we're out the door. But in the process of leaving that bar to getting to the car, there's one question that I'm never going to probably ever have answered, and I can't quite put my finger on it. But somehow, when I left that bar, Priscilla gave me her keys. And I remember these next few moments. I remember the atmosphere. I remember what was being said. I remember everything, every part of it. I remember the shorts that I had on. I remember more clearly than anything the next words I heard out of Priscilla's mouth. I remember them so clearly. Every vowel, every consonant articulated so precisely. And it was so clear, as crystal clear as day. Well, the next words I heard from Priscilla were simply this: "Tree!" And I woke up in a hospital bed. Paramedics report, it said this. It said when they arrived on scene that there was only one person in the vehicle, me. And that I hit the tree going anywhere from 60 to 63 miles an hour. There was no brakes. I didn't even try to stop. And when I hit that tree, that case of beer bottles that was behind her catapulted forward at impact. And that woman named Priscilla, who didn't have her seatbelt on, catapulted forward at impact. And that thing called the windshield in your car, and that case of beer bottles met with Priscilla in between. And she slid down to the floorboard, and her neck rested on the middle console. So I stayed up all night that night. And you know what? The paper had read 2 lifeline in a serious accident. Took her to Parkview Hospital. Nobody would tell me if she was alive, if she was dead. I had no idea, but I knew the paper said something that morning, and if she was alive or if she passed away, the paper would probably say something the next morning. The paper man shows up at like 4 a.m. He comes driving by, everything slows down like a movie. He rolls the window, he throws the paper, it hits, boom. I jump up, grab it, I rip open the rubber band, I roll it open, and there's the headline. Crash, victim dies. At 23, I was responsible for taking her life. Never did I think when I was in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade that at 23 I'd be responsible for taking the life of somebody. What happened though is the family wanted me to contact them right after that. And I called, and what do you say to that? You know, what do you say? I'm sorry. But I called and the family said, Nathan, well, listen, Priscilla was sober. It was her vehicle. We can't put all the blame on you, which I didn't agree with. I was solely to blame. I was the driver. I don't care how drunk I was. It was my fault. But they said, listen, there's no reason for two families to be destroyed. We want you to know that we love you, even though we don't know you. We forgive you, even though we don't know you. But do us a favor. Just try to make the world a better place. Try to don't let Priscilla die for nothing. Just make a difference. What I do, my life speaks louder than words, because when I begin to change my life, I'm going to learn to make good choices. I'm going to learn to be responsible. I'm going to be dedicated. I'm going to have good characters and morals and values. I'm going to own up when wrong. I'm going to be truthful. I'm going to stand up for what I know is right, and I won't let anybody change me. And maybe that's not where you're at right now, but you can get there, and these are the attributes of success, man. If you want something in life, you got to be willing to do what nobody else has done. If you keep doing the same thing you've always done, it's the definition of insanity. If you want to change, you're going to have to be willing to change. Good choices will always have good results. And I was making a lot of bad choices and a lot of bad decisions. And I was basing my value, my worth, off your opinions. And I learned something. Listen to me, everybody in here, I want you to understand something. Your value is never based off any of the opinions of anybody in this room. Who cares what anybody thinks or says about you? They are not your merit system. They are not your system of worth. You are who you say you are by your actions. But the choices and the decisions that we make have consequences, good or bad. And when I went to prison, at 23, listen, I came from a broken family. I had been labeled and unmarked and identified. I had battled hurts and pains and wounds. I had suicidal thoughts, and I had battled self-harming. Drugs and alcohol had consumed me. I had lost all dreams and goals. I felt like I had made too many mistakes to change. Listen, I felt like I had every reason to say, you know what, life is too tough, and I quit. I live with these three principles, and I promise you, man, they will change everything about who you are. Hard work works, make good choices, good things happen, and value people. I decided 10 years ago, literally, when this all happened, and I went to prison, I was like, you know what? I want to make this promise. I want to keep it to this family. I come from a lot of brokenness. I don't know where to start, but what I do know is the importance of the choices that I make. And so literally, I wrote the word, change the world, and I slapped it on my little prison cell window, and every single day I woke up and I realized, make good choices, great things happen. Aim small, miss small. Make good choices, great things happen. You see, every choice that I can make, listen, I can't control what you think about me. I can't control your opinion of me. I can't control what you say about me, but I control how I react, respond, and what I do with my life. I'm in control of my life. I don't let external factors control me. I'm in control of my life. Because sometimes life can be tough. Life can be challenging. And sometimes the obstacles in front of you seem like they're too big, and it's easier just to lay down. But you know what I remembered? I remember when my dad used to look at me when a kid and said, listen, Nathan, life is never going to give you anything, but if you make it and if you build it, nobody can take it from you. Because hard work and tenacity and refusing to quit and chasing your dream, and you'll get there, I promise you. Maybe you don't hit the stars, but you'll land on the moon. You just don't give up, and you go after it, and you stop caring about the opinions of people around you. Stop blaming everybody from your hurts. Take ownership of your life. Take off your mask. Don't feed the bear. Make good choices. Be a best friend. Encourage somebody. Be a voice of hope and inspiration. This is your moment.
Back in the 70s, I met the finest woman I'd ever met in my life. We're at this dance, and I find out her name is Trina Williams from Lompoc, California, and we're all dancing, and we're just excited. And I decide in the middle of dancing with her that I would ask her for her phone number. Trina was the first one. Trina was the only woman in college who gave me her real telephone number. The next day, we walked to Baskin & Robbins ice cream parlor. We go on a second date, and a third date, and a fourth date. We drive from Chico to Vallejo so that she could meet my parents. My father meets her. My daddy, my hero, he meets her, pulls me to the side and says, "Is she psycho?" But anyway, we go together for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. By now, Trina's a senior in college. I'm still a freshman, but I'm working some things out. So now it's time to propose. So I talk to her girlfriends, and it's California. It's in the 70s, so it has to be outside. Have to have a candle, and you have to have, some chocolate. Listen, I'm from the hood. I had a bottle of Boone's Farm wine. That's what I had. She said yes. That was the key. I married the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen in my life. Y'all ever been to a wedding, and even before the wedding starts, you hear this? How in the world? And it was coming from my side of the family. We get married, we have a few children, our lives are great. One day, Trina finds a lump in her left breast. Breast cancer. 6 years after that diagnosis, me and my 2 little boys walked up to Mommy's casket. And for 2 years, my heart didn't beat. If it wasn't for my faith in God, I wouldn't be standing here today. If it wasn't for those 2 little boys, there would have been no reason for which to go on. I was completely lost. That was rock bottom. You know what sustained me? The wisdom of a 3rd grade dropout. The wisdom of a simple cook from California Maritime Academy. We're at the casket in College Station, Texas. I'd never seen my dad cry. Big, strong man. But this time I saw my dad cry. That was his daughter. Trina was his daughter, not his daughter-in-law. And I'm right behind my father, about to see her for the last time on this earth. And my father shared 3 words with me that changed my life right there at the casket. It would be the last lesson he would ever teach me. He said, "Son, just stand." I don't think there's anything more profound that I can share with these cadets than these words. You keep standing. You keep standing, no matter how rough the sea, you keep standing. And I'm not talking about just water. You keep standing. No matter what, you don't give up. I learned that lesson from a 3rd grade dropout who was a cook at Cal Maritime, who said, "Boy, you keep standing, no matter what." I stood, and a miracle took place. A couple of years later, my heart started to beat again. I'm talking in a group about like this when all of a sudden I spot the finest woman I've ever met in my life again. First thing Janet did after we got married was she adopted those little boys, fulfilling Trina's last wish that her babies not go through life without a mommy. Let me take you back to 2 days before Trina died. No hair because of chemotherapy, cadets. A tummy pooched out because of a liver no longer working. She weighed about 75 pounds. I'm in the kitchen so I can keep an eye on her in the family room. She's surrounded by pillows. Our then youngest son, Andrew, walks up with a shirt that he wants Mommy to fold. And this is what I hear from Trina. "Andrew, Mama, not always gonna be there to help you." She was saying goodbye. And I was so moved, I waited for Andrew to leave, and I walked over and I sat next to her on the couch. And as clearly as I'm talking to you today, these were some of her last words to me. She looked me in the eye and she said, "It doesn't matter to me any longer how long I live. What matters to me most is how I live." Cadets, I've come here with honor, with bells on, to ask y'all one question, a question that I was asked all my life by a 3rd grade dropout. How you living? How you living? Every day ask yourself that question, how you living? Here's what a cook in the dining center would suggest. Don't judge people. The tendency of a person is to walk away from somebody that's different from them. You stay there and you get to know them. Never judge. Then he dropped Jonathan Swift on me, who said vision is the ability to see the invisible. Don't judge. Another lesson from this third grade dropout. Son, you'd rather be an hour early than a minute late. My father had the breakfast and lunch shift here at the academy. He had to be at work at 5 o'clock. We lived on Louisiana Street, 15 minutes away. My mother said for nearly 30 years, my father left the house at 3:45 in the morning. One day she asked him, why, Daddy? He said, maybe one of my boys will catch me in the act of excellence. I want to share two things with you. Aristotle said, you are what you repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence ought to be a habit, not an act. Don't ever forget that. The other thing I want to share with you is Harvard Business Review, September 2004. The article is titled Deep Smarts. Here's the thesis. Lecturing, what our universities are based upon, is the worst kind of teaching method. That if you want to get the intended message across, model the behavior. My daddy, a third grade dropout, a cook, was modeling excellence for his boys, combining academic knowledge and old school wisdom. That's what makes an impact. An impact as you go all over the world. You're not interested in making a nice impression. You want to make an impact. Lesson number 3. Son, make sure your servant's towel is bigger than your ego. I want to remind you, cadets, of something as you graduate. Ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. Pride is the burden of a foolish person. You'll never be a great shipmate. You'll never be a great executive. You'll never be a great teammate if it's all about you. 12 years ago, when Ozzie Smith walked into the Hall of Fame, he said, I've always been told how average I can be. Always been criticized about being average. But I want to tell you something. I stand here before you, before all of these people, not listening to those words, but telling myself every single day to shoot for the stars, to be the best that I can be. Good enough isn't good enough if it can be better. And better isn't good enough if it can be best. It is with great honor that I say all your life, look in those unlikeliest places for wisdom. Enhance your life every day by seeking that wisdom and asking yourself every night, how am I living? May God richly bless y'all. Thank you for having me here.
You were not a mistake. You were not an accident. You were here for a reason. I know you're going through some hard times. I know life at times might feel rough, or you might feel weird, or things might be frustrating, but it's not going to always be like this. Your condition is not your conclusion. I've got to just take maybe 5 minutes to kind of just unpack my story so that you have an idea of who I am and why I speak with the passion that I speak with. There was a time when I was in a really dark place. You know, my mom had me when she was 16 years old. I grew up without my biological father in my life. I struggled with years for drug and alcohol abuse. And I just found myself in a really, really, really weird and dark place. I had to repeat the 7th grade. And when the 8th grade came around, I'll never forget hearing at a parent-teacher conference, a teacher tell my mom that I wasn't high school material. And I came to tell you that words are powerful. And when I heard that statement, I remember feeling like, wow, you know, like I am really, really a failure, you know? Like it's one thing to tell a student, hey, okay, you're about to graduate from high school. You're not college material. You're not going to go to an Ivy League. Maybe you should go to a tech school. Like I've heard that, right? Like different people have different paths. But how do you tell a middle school kid that they're not ready for high school? Like it affected me. And I'll never forget going that next year, and after a series of events, a lot of fighting, a lot of struggling, that school ended up kicking me out. They got all bent out of shape because I cut the electricity off. The next year, I went to another school, got the report card at the end of the year, and because I did not do well and I did not put good in, when I got that final report card, all F's, 1 C. And my mom is this tall, but when she gets mad, she turns into the Hulk, you know? And I'm thinking like, this is not gonna be pretty. But I came up with a plan. I said, you know what, I'm gonna change my grades. So I went to the library, I got that white out, I crossed off all the F's in the C, I took a fancy pen and a ruler, and I put those small little dots and lines, and I gave myself all A's and 2 B's. Then I made a copy of it. And as soon as I got home, I gave it to my mom. She took one glance and was like, boy, where your real report card at? I said, Mom, let me explain. She said, no, I don't want to hear it. I know what happened. I said, you do? She said, yes. You probably lost it, how you always lose stuff, and you went to the office and they had to make a copy of theirs on file. I said, yup. You be knowing, Mama. She's like, I'm like, you know everything. She's like, I know. But at the end of that summer when my real report card came in, it was really rough. I'll never forget, like, when I first tricked my mom and she saw it, she was like, I'm so proud of you. She started crying. I even got emotional. I was like, I told you, Mom, I'm gonna make you proud. She hugging me, I'm hugging her. We got like a breakthrough. And you're probably wondering, like, Jeremy, why were you crying? Like, you know you didn't really earn all A's and 2 B's. Well, for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a failure. Like, I actually felt successful, like worthy, like I felt like I was good enough. And so that was a bit of an emotional moment. But it wasn't real because I didn't really earn those grades. Now, when my school sent my real report card home and my mom saw it, she was in denial. My baby made A's and B's. So she called the school. I was like, ooh, hang up the phone, Mama, hang up the phone. And again, she's in tears. But now what was once tears of joy, now it's tears of sorrow, tears of pain, tears of frustration. And she's trying to figure out, like, I wish my baby would just get it together, and I was so hurt, but I felt stuck. I was depressed. I was tired. I was struggling. I felt like I was an accident. Like, what's the purpose of life? Like, why am I here? You know, I felt like I couldn't fit in. When it was time to read, I didn't want to read because somebody was going to tease me because I wasn't a good reader. We was always getting into fights. People was bullying me. Then there was a time when I was the bully. Like, I just struggled, and I was like, what's the point of it all? And my mom's a great mom, so she moved me to another school. So now I'm at the school now called Huntsville High. This is my 3rd school for the 9th grade. Now I'm at this new school, and I don't know how to explain it to you, but I got a group of teachers, I felt like they were weird. They were saying stuff like, Jeremy, we believe in you. I'm like, me? One teacher was like, oh yeah, Jeremy Anderson, up top my man, this is gonna be the best year ever. I'm like, okay. One teacher, I had to ask him, I was like, wait a second, y'all are way too enthusiastic. Did y'all get my transcripts? Like, y'all got the right Jeremy? They was like, yep, we got the right Jeremy, but you're in a new season now. So you don't have to worry about the past. I was like, yeah, but you do know about last year? Yep. I said, you know, this is my 3rd school. They was like, we're not worried about that again, Jeremy. You're in a new season now. So let's not bring old things into a new season. And they began to speak life to me. They began to encourage me. They began to affirm me. And because I was young and I was immature, I kind of felt like, well, you don't really understand my story. You don't come from where I come from. And I'll try to build a wall up. But you know what knocked that wall down? It's love. You know what knocked that wall down? It was perseverance. You know what knocked that wall down? It was like unwavering commitment and support. And I realized you can be black, white, purple, blue, green. We need each other. And if you're showing up because you believe in me and you see great things inside me, like maybe, just maybe I could do great things. Your mindset, your belief system is everything. And it is so powerful. And so I came all the way from Atlanta, Georgia to tell you, you were not a mistake. You were not an accident. You were here for a reason. I know you're going through some hard times. I know life at times might feel rough, or you might feel weird, or things might be frustrating, but it's not going to always be like this. Your condition is not your conclusion. There is so much more that's going to take place. There is so much more power that's inside you. If you make up in your mind, I choose to believe that I can do great things. And I promise you, my young friends, I got to a point in life when I was like, man, I got these teachers. They must really care. Like when you start having teachers that get diagnosed with cancer, but they still show up to school. One of my teachers had arthritis so bad, she couldn't even write on the chalkboard. Other teacher was going through a divorce. Another one that just buried her child. I'm looking at all these teachers that's going through life just like you, just like me, but they kept showing up. So something inside my brain said, maybe I am worth it. Something inside me said, maybe I can do great things. For them to jump through all these hoops and go out of their way to kind of connect with me, for them to make these sacrifices, maybe it is possible for me. It's the same way with you. Sometimes I go back to like being that little boy in the hallway that ever heard that teacher tell my mom that I wasn't high school material. Then I have to remind myself like, no. That's not true. I am that. I can do that. I can achieve that. Sometimes I have to remind myself, what am I telling you? Like life can be hard, life can be rough, but there's something special. And there's something powerful about the human mind and about the human spirit and about the human will when you tell yourself, I won't give up, I won't surrender, I won't quit. I'm going to show up every single day and do the best that I can. And here's the beautiful thing about you is while you're going through your process and while you're trying to navigate these waters and while you're still, trying to tweak some stuff within yourself, you still got the power to save somebody else's life. You got the power to speak up for others. You got the power to be the voice of reason for someone who might be on the verge of doing something they shouldn't do. You have the power to brighten somebody's day. Your words are powerful. Your energy is powerful. And so I don't want you all to think that you have to have it all together and everything for you has to be perfect in order for you to be a leader. No. You can make an impact. You can make a difference. You can save somebody's life right now by you just being unapologetically you and you walking in that calling and you speak life and you affirm and you let others know I see you and I'm with you and I got your back and you're not by yourself and I will hold your hand as you go throughout this journey. And even though I'm struggling, I don't mind fighting on behalf of you and we're going to figure this thing out together. Key word, together. We're going to figure this thing out together. There's something beautiful about us having that mindset of us being together. You know what I'm saying? Not black, white, Asian, Hispanic, not Republican, Democrat, independent, not gay or straight, not like male or female, like us coming together saying, man, we are human, we are here. And I believe that there is more that makes us together. There is more than we have in common than we have that's not in common. And I believe that our differences is what makes us so doggone amazing. Our differences. Think about that, right? Like there is so many amazing things and there are so many different amazing personalities and there is nobody else on this planet exactly like you. So I believe that we make a decision to say, you know what, we will come together as a people. We will come together as a nation. We will come together as a state. We will come together as a city. We will come together as a district. We will come together as a school. We will come together as a grade. We will come together as a class and we will value each other. We will speak life to one another and we will help each other go to that next level.